10 things that you can do to improve your public speaking skills. Generally, most people who struggle with public speaking suffer from about 10 minor issues that are relatively easy to fix. So I'll go through them in this simple list, and hopefully you can identify which ones you struggle with. The first thing that most people can do to improve your public speaking skills is stop using fillers. Phrases like It's a very common problem, and even professional speakers struggle with this. A friend of mine who's quite an accomplished speaker uses a lot in interviews before he answers a question. What I would suggest to stop using fillers such as and is try to eliminate them in your normal speech. So when you're talking to a friend or talking to your partner, you should try and avoid using fillers. And if you can be successful in stopping using fillers in your day-to-day casual use of speech, you should hopefully be able to limit them or eliminate them in formal speaking settings, such as speaking publicly. What a lot of people struggle with as well when they speak publicly is they're not speaking publicly, they're reading. And that because they're reading, they're unable to engage with the crowd or the audience, or whichever term you prefer. It can help you memorize a speech if your speech has a really easily digestible structure. Eye contact is another way that people can improve their public speaking skills. It's not very complicated. Just try and make eye contact with either the person you're talking to or the audience. For job interviews and interviews more generally, eye contact is very important and something I would always suggest that people try and improve, even if they have good eye contact. When most people speak publicly, especially when you're nervous, lots of people talk too quickly. And as I've discussed previously, talking too quickly can cause problems when you speak publicly, if fast speech is not utilised correctly. So what I'd suggest as a general tip is most people, when speaking publicly, try and speak slower than they normally will do. Generally, when speaking formally or speaking publicly, talking slower is better than talking fast, because slow speech is easy to understand. Using a better vocabulary is something most people, if not all people, can do. A lot of my suggestions to clients when they're writing a speech is have a thesaurus by you, and every time you repeat a word, you look up another version of that word with a similar meaning. So instead of sure, use adamant. Reading poetry can really help improve public speaking skills. Western civilization has produced many great works of poetry. Reading it will help improve your public speaking and oratory skills. A good place to start, in my opinion, would be Roman poetry, such as Ovid. This is something I studied when I was doing classics as an A-level student, and something I enjoyed thoroughly. However, more contemporary works, such as T.S. Eliot, would also be a very good place to start to improve your public speaking skills. Speak in complete sentences in your day-to-day life. Most people, when they speak casually or talk to friends, don't use complete sentences that often. If you really want to improve your public speaking skills, get into the habit of speaking in complete sentences. So instead of asking a friend, a family member, to go pick that up over there, Ask them, Jean, please can you pick up the red bucket that's on the top shelf of the larder, please? Using that sort of change, usually, if you can get into the habit of doing it, will really help you speak better in private and in public. Reciting poetry. Memorising and speaking aloud poetry will help you gain a greater understanding of rhythmic structure. Reciting poetry will also improve your pronunciation and memory. In terms of rhythmic structure, getting used to different rhythmic structures is quite difficult because most people who haven't had a classical education couldn't tell you what the term rhythmic structure means. I'll do a video on this on a later date, but generally for now, read as much poetry as possible and read a broad range of poetry, and when you're comfortable reading it, try reciting it and try memorising it. Listening to poetry is a very good way to gain an understanding of different public speaking techniques. If you listen to the recitation of a poem that is being recited as it was intended to be recited, you will develop a more nuanced understanding of how to speak publicly and the effect that certain tone, volume, speed has on the human psyche and human emotions. Practice speaking fast and low. Being able to talk fast, slow, quietly, loudly is very helpful when you're making a speech, because talking quietly has a different effect on the audience to talking slowly, and a mixture of the two. Generally, the speed, the volume of your speech will affect how the audience perceives it.